right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm your host, Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co-host, Jake Ellenbogen, and we are coming to you to describe, or to preview, I should say, the Rams' Week 3 matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football. We are recording this on Friday night, so we're about 3 days away. So we still have some time, but Jake and I are going to preview that game and what to expect. For anybody watching on YouTube, I do have towels behind me on my couch. The reason for this is Jake is like, why are you even explaining this? But I feel like I have to because this looks insane. I look insane right now. I've got there's something spilled all over my couch. I panicked because we were about to record this. I have towels down. I'm wearing like a poncho. We've had 2 straight weeks in a row, Jake, of me just being absolutely disheveled and looking like a gremlin on here. So, I'm not even going to apologize for it because this is who I am, guys.
It's on brand. Our podcast has always been chaotic. We don't have a schedule. We've had just random audio interference. We've had just everything that can go wrong will go wrong, and we still record. That's just that's like, on brand. Like this is the crazy DTR podcast at this point.
Like I think people can probably tell that I was just like sweating. Like I was sweating because I was like my pillows, my Aubrey Plaza pillows usually here, which is fine. Nothing spilled on that, but I did put my pillows elsewhere and then I forgot to put them back on because I just took everything off my couch and had to clean it and like throw things in the washer. I've got towels down. I'm just like, what a day. What a day. I was like sweating trying to like get this and not whatever. Nobody cares. Everyone's just like talk about the Rams and Bengals. But
skip.
I was just describing for people having to watch this who are like watching on YouTube and like what is going on behind Alexis and why is she wearing a poncho type hoodie because it's comfortable. Okay, anyway, let's get back to what the people are listening for. Jake, let's talk about this matchup on Monday night because everybody knows that the star of the Bengals is Joey Burrow, the man, the myth, the legend, LSU quarterback. A lot of girls are obsessed with Joey Burrow. Like he's like the one player I think that if you don't watch the NFL, like you know who he is. Like I know girls who know nothing about the NFL, but they know Joe Burrow and they follow him on Instagram and like he's that type of like star to where everybody knows who Joe Burrow is, but he might not be playing on Monday night. As of today, I think he kind of semi-practiced today, Jake. They kind of, from what I saw, it was like he went out there, he threw some passes. Wasn't a full practice, but it was better than him sitting out, so that's promising. And it sounds like it might really be a game time decision if Joe Burrow plays on Monday. He's got a calf injury. So it's going to be a very different game, Jake, if he doesn't play on Monday night. What does the impact of Joe Burrow mean for this game, for both teams?
Well, I think this, first off, let me just preface by saying I think the Rams have some blowout potential in this game. Like, I think they could come out and just assert their dominance early on and just absolutely destroy the Bengals. Like, I really believe that's possible in this one, just because the Bengals are not the Super Bowl team we thought they were going to be, but it's because it's early on in the season. They haven't quite gotten there. Not saying that that's what I'll predict, but I think that there's blowout potential with Burrow or without Burrow. If Burrow plays, it's going to be quick dump offs and, quick passing, kind of like Purdy. Something just flew in my eye, so I'll try to figure this whole thing out. But, it's going to be like the quick hitters, dink and dunk. The problem is essentially the wide receivers don't have the run after catch ability the 49ers have,
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting because I think the Bengals are kind of one of those teams where they're obviously very talented, aside from Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow kind of makes or breaks that team. We've seen that in the first 2 weeks. The Bengals are 0-2. They do have, in my opinion, the best wide receiver duo in the NFL between Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Jamar Chase has been a little quiet this season so far. I know it's only been 2 games though, so I don't know that it's a fair assessment, but I think obviously when you're Jamar Chase, typically your defense is number one priority, and then that leaves T. Higgins up for a lot of opportunities. So, looking at this matchup, and regardless of, so let's look at the offense, regardless if Joe Burrow plays or not, Jake. They have those two wide receivers that I mentioned. I was just on a Bengals podcast, and I was previewing this game. And I think one of the matchups to watch out for this game, something that could really, well, if Burrow plays, I should say, be a factor, is how well do the Rams young corners go up against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? Because, like I said, arguably the best wide receiver duo in the league. They're going up against our very young corners, very inexperienced corners who have played well. They've had some good flashes. They've also had some flashes where they struggled, right? So, in my mind, I think that is the matchup to watch. Out of everything in the game, we're going to see how successful these wide receivers are against our secondary. What do you think the Rams defense needs to do, looking at guys like Higgins and Chase and Burrow if he plays? How do you think we contain them? Like, what is the key to stopping them from scoring points?
I think the key is just playing their style of defense. It's worked with everybody, essentially. I mean, even the 49ers game, you can look at Debo and how he kind of went off, but he really didn't when you think about it. No one's gone over 100 yards or anything like that. I mean, they've now seen DK Metcalf, JSN, Tyler Lockett, Debo, Brandon Ayuk. I think the one thing that you have to be mindful of is when you're dealing with somebody like T. Higgins or somebody like, a Jamar Chase or even Tyler Boyd, these guys can with that double move. They do a really nice job with their route running. They're precise. So while they don't have it in terms of breaking tackles and, dominating the yards after the catch ability, like you talk about a Debo can, they make up for it with their route running ability that can create separation. So are they somewhat of a mismatch against, a Keller Witherspoon and, Darian Kendrick and Kobe Durant? Potentially. I think that's definitely fair to say. But I think the thing that really limits them is Joe Burrow. If he plays, he's going to be limited. You're not going to get Joe Burrow being able to run all over the pocket and everything because he has a calf injury. The thing that I think is really concerning if you're a Bengals fan is that it's not only just a calf injury, Alexis. Like, the thing that happened was he had the calf injury and then he was coming back and he clearly wasn't 100% the last two games, right? Well, this past game, Alexis, he re-aggravated it. So like hearing those words, that means it's worse than week 1 and week 2. You see what I'm saying? Like he was playing, kind of coming back, wasn't 100%. Now you re-aggravate it. How far down did he go? What's the percentage now? And so I think that's a real question to be asked because, if he's not 100%, I don't expect him to be able to challenge down the field. And you want to keep him healthy. You don't want Aaron Donald to get a hold of him. You don't want Byron Young to get a hold of him. So it really kind of limits what you can do. And so I expect that this team is going to be dinking and dunking and hoping that can work, and just hope that, the Rams don't make their tackles. And I know it sounds really, really simple, but when you look at the Rams and Bengals through 2 games, there's no one should think, if Joe Burrow's not 100%, which he's not, no one should think the Bengals are definitely winning this game. And here's why. The total yards, disparity between the two is insane. The Rams are averaging 411 total yards a game. The Bengals are averaging 222.5. Passing yards, the Rams are averaging over 300. Joe Burrow and the Bengals are averaging 152 a game. Rushing, the Rams are averaging over 90. Bengals are averaging just over 70. And then yards allowed, the Bengals are giving up almost 400 yards a game, and the Rams aren't even giving up 300 yards a game. And to me, when you look at it, the big issue with the Rams is that they allow over 100 yards a game on the ground, right? And we saw that with Christian McCaffrey. With the Bengals, like, to me, if they want to win this game, Joe Mixon has to go off. Like if he has a really good game, and we saw, Kenny Walker looked good in the first one, and then the second game, of course, we saw Christian McCaffrey. If Joe Mixon goes off against this defense, they have a shot. But on the flip side, I think Kyron Williams is going to go off against this defense on the other side. And the reason I think that is because this team is now allowed almost 200 yards each week. Talk about the fact on the ground, talk about the fact they both have mobile quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and, of course, Deshaun Watson. But we saw Gus Edwards last week, 10 carries for like 62 yards. So he's averaging over 6 yards a carry. He wasn't the starter coming into the season. And so I think this is a big game for Kyren Williams because this is his second game as a starter. This is his first primetime game as a starter. And furthermore, he started his first game against the 49ers, had 100 total yards from scrimmage, didn't get the rushing yards. And he knows until he gets those rushing yards, people won't take him seriously as a starting running back. So I think this is the game where he's able to kind of break out. He probably finds the end zone twice. And I think his game overall speaks volumes, but I think this will be the game that kind of shuts up the doubters with the rushing yards.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. I think, like you mentioned, second game is running back one. We've seen what he could do against a team like the 49ers, who have a much better defense than the Bengals, in my opinion. And yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do. I would like to see them use Kyren more in the run game, kind of as you said, because I think he's kind of in a weird way, even though because he's made really good runs, right, with the Rams, but I feel like people still don't really take him seriously as a true running back. And that's kind of how he made a name for himself as well. I mean, he's more than capable. He runs hard. He never stops moving his legs. I mean, he's really fun to watch, honestly, as a running back. So I hope that the Rams do use him more. And I hope he also goes for a 2-touchdown game. That would be pretty cool to start your season off getting 2 touchdowns each in the first 3 games, especially doing it in front of a national audience on primetime football, I think would be really cool for him as well. I think that guys like Tutu Atwell and Nakua are also going to have a very good game. I would really like them to unleash Tutu Atwell. I feel like they haven't really done it the first 2 games. I think he's kind of taken a backseat to Puka Nakua because I mean, Nakua's just been unbelievable, right? And getting all those, receptions. He's clearly right now the favorite target of Matthew Stafford. But I feel like they have held back a little bit, probably unintentionally, on what Tutu Atwell can do. So I'm really excited this game. I feel like maybe all the attention now is obviously going to be on Puka because he's making a name for himself. Teams know what he can do. They know that he's Stafford's favorite target. So I think that you're going to see guys like Atwell, Jefferson's going to get chances. Higbee, Kyren Williams is probably going to get involved in the passing game. I expect that the Rams and hope that the Rams kind of diversify their targets a little bit, not to purposely take it away from Puka, but just because I think now we're in the situation where Puka's not really the best kept secret anymore. He's not the best kept weapon. They know that Stafford wants to target him. So yeah, I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how the Rams choose to play this game offensively. I really think they should just keep what they've been doing, honestly. I mean, we've talked about it on this show. They looked really good offensively against Seattle. They hung in there with the 49ers, and they kind of beat themselves in a way, just, 4 to 5 critical errors that we talked about in the last episode. So we'll see. I think the Bengals are in a little bit of a disarray right now. They're 0-2. As we mentioned, I think that they are struggling without Joe Burrow. I think their offensive line has been struggling regardless. I mean, they've kind of been a mess, I feel like, for several years now. Feels like the Bengals can't really find a way to protect Joe Burrow. And now look, he's hurt. So I think that, if the Rams start out aggressively, shake up an already shaken up team. I mean, go out there and confuse them. Don't give them time to get comfortable because right now that's kind of how the Bengals are playing. It's like they don't really know what's up. They're struggling to mesh. They're struggling to do well. So, yeah, I am on the same page as you. I think the Rams have an opportunity to really put the pressure on Cincinnati Monday night.
I do too. I mean, I don't know. When I look at this game, I just think if Joe Burrow goes, it's going to be tough. If Jake Browning goes, the game's over. I mean, I don't think they have a chance in hell to win with Jake Browning. I really don't. The way Stafford's slinging the rock, now that they've found their legitimate running back in Kyren Williams, 2 receivers and Tutu Atwell and Puka Nakua that are open the whole game essentially. And that's the thing. It's the Rams are winning games despite the fact Tyler Higbee and Van Jefferson, who are supposed to be the number 1 and number 2 targets coming into the season, have done really nothing. And when you look at the Bengals, like if you're out there trying to figure out what like anytime touchdown makes sense, first off, Alexis is the prop god when it comes to anytime touchdowns for tight ends. Alexis, I'd be shocked if you didn't pick Higbee this week because guess what? The Bengals have allowed touchdowns in back-to-back weeks for tight ends. Harrison Bryant in the first week for the Browns, and then last week, Mark Andrews. They don't allow a ton of yards, so I don't know if I'd go near his yards prop, but I think anytime touchdowns, I think Higbee gets in the end zone. And I think we could have, it could be Puka, but I also wouldn't be surprised if we have another ironic Rams dominate the red zone, don't throw a touchdown to a receiver once again. I would not be surprised.
Well, whatever wins.
Yeah.
If it's Kyren,
no one's going to care.
If they just have to throw 4 touchdowns to Kyren, I mean,
I'm not going to complain.
That's what they have to do.
What happens if Kyren Williams breaks like LaDainian Tomlinson's record in a single season for touchdowns from scrimmage? Like, are we still going to just doubt if he's the guy?
Oh, a lot of Rams fans would.
I mean, like, I don't know. Like, if he gets 2 touchdowns every game and we're still doubting him, then I don't know what to tell you. But look, no, I want to bring up something. I saw the Sean McVay presser, thought this was really interesting, was asked about Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell and getting those guys, like alleviating the pressure on them, getting them like some time off, essentially, putting in like other guys. And he mentioned like, hey, we're only guaranteed 17 games. So yes, like you have to be mindful of the fact that like a Puka Nacua, you love seeing what you see, the way things have gone. At the same time, you want to make sure he's around for all 17. So you have to do your best to kind of limit that and maybe play some load management here. And that might mean a Van Jefferson, a Demarcus Robinson, a Ben Skoranek has to step up. Even Austin Trammell, who we saw getting some offensive snaps last week. I couldn't believe that. But yeah, he was in there, 81. So I think that's what we're going to see. I can't say for sure that it's going to be like the Puka Nacua show again. I do think the prop is like 64.5. Or 63.5. I would take him over that. And then Atwell's like 55.5. And I don't know about that. I want to take him over that, but like this could easily be the game where they just let Kyren, cook and he's running like crazy and then throwing touchdowns to Higbee. And then Van Jefferson gets a bomb because all the attention is on Nacua and Atwell. It's one of those games where it's Monday Night Football. You have the extra week, the extra game of like extra day, of preparation. It really makes me wonder. And the thing about the Bengals, when I've been watching them against the Browns and the Ravens, they've allowed 2 explosive plays in the passing game. One of which went to, I believe it was Zay Flowers, and the other one in Cleveland, I'm not going to remember. I can already tell you that. So, so here's the thing is they don't really allow a ton of explosives, but maybe one a game. And I could definitely see maybe a bubble screen going and ripping them to shreds or something like that. But I think the back end of the Cincinnati Bengals secondary, I think has done a decent job this year, where I think the Rams, they're not trying to end drives. They're trying, the key with the Rams offense is they're trying to play for the defense as well, where they go out there, they want to run those 14 play drives that just suck up the clock. And then the defense goes out there and they've already rested, So I don't think they necessarily want to go 3 plays, 80 yards or anything like that. They'll take it if it results in a touchdown. You don't take that away. But I think ideally the Rams want to play short and intermediate football where they're getting those 10, 11-yard gains via the passing attack, but also letting, Kyren Williams run for 6, 7 yards, getting, him in there. I think that's really what an ideal Rams drive is. But I will say this. JB Long put this out. I thought this was interesting. I don't know if you saw it. I think I sent it to you. The Rams are one of 4 teams or one of 3 teams, I think, to start the season scoring, having 800 plus yards of offense, scoring 40 plus points in those 2 games, and not registering a takeaway on the defensive side of the ball. The 2 of those 3 teams have gone to the Super Bowl. And so it is interesting because first off, that stuff is always kind of funny to me. But second, they really haven't registered any turnovers. And so it makes you wonder, like, man, I already think they can beat the Bengals without generating turnovers, but Alexis, they're due. And they got some guys, like I could see Kobe Durant, and I think I'm going to stick by that. I think Kobe Durant is going to have himself a game.
All right, Jake. So let's get to our predictions for this game. And I'm going to let you go first. But what are your predictions for this Rams matchup on Monday night, prime time? Everybody watching, what are the Rams going to do?
All right, we're going to see an interception from Kobe Durant because, I just said that Kobe Durant's going to have a big game. So we'll see an interception from Durant. I think that's going to be kind of a tone setter. The defense has already done a really nice job. They got 2 huge stops in the fourth quarter. That game was still winnable because the defense stepped up. And I think they're going to do it again. I think Burrow is going to play, regardless if he plays or not. I think Kobe Durant's coming down with a pick. And then I'm going to say Kyren Williams. He's kind of flirted with getting 3 touchdowns. I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to say he gets in the end zone and he goes over 100 yards on the ground, but 150 total from scrimmage, which kind of further solidifies he's the guy. And I think we are going to see not only a Tyler Higbee touchdown, but I think he'll go over 50 yards. And then I think my final prediction here is that I think Aaron Donald is going to get 2 sacks in this game.
Well, I'd love to see that because he's only gotten the half sack so far. This is only week 3, but
yeah,
I would love to see Aaron Donald have a multi-sack game. So I'm going to say the Kyren Williams 2 touchdowns. I feel good about that prop because I've probably now jinxed it, but we've seen it weeks 1 and 2. So,
yeah.
I feel good, especially against this Bengals defense, about our run game and the way that Kyron's been playing. So I'm going Kyren Williams 2+ touchdowns. I am not going to pick a player, but I'm going to say the Rams have 3+ sacks because I don't like this Bengals offensive line, and they've been pretty bad all season. And I would love it if some of our young guys, I'm going to say like Kobe Turner sack feels right. I'd like to see some of our young guys get their first NFL sacks. And also I don't like this Bengals offensive line. I think they're going to really struggle. So I'm going 3+ sacks for the Rams defense with a Kobe Turner sack. And lastly, well, I wanted to say Tyler Higbee touchdown, but I feel like you mentioned that earlier, so I'm going to think of something else. I'm going to say Matthew Stafford throws for 2 touchdowns, 2+. Kyren maybe my 2+. So that's what, 4 Rams touchdowns that I'm predicting at least, which goes into my score prediction. So I'll say mine first when we going into the score. So I think the Rams are going to win 31-10.
Wow.
That's bold, right? Because I don't think Joe Burrow is going to play. That's just my opinion.
Okay, I'll have to have 2 score predictions.
Oh, okay. Okay, how about this? I'll make 2 as well then.
Yeah.
I don't think Joe Burrow is going to play just based on the attitude of everyone on the Bengals. Jamar Chase basically said, I don't know if you saw, but Jamar Chase basically said at practice today that he was like, I don't think that Burrow's going to play. He said that. So I think that he's not going to play. I think the Rams are going to win 31-10. If Burrow plays, I'll say like 31-17.
So I had 31-23 if Burrow plays. The reason being, I think it's probably like a 31. We'll say this. It's probably like a 31-16 game, and they get a garbage time touchdown at the end, like kind of, But like that's kind of something I can see. I like 31-23 though. And then I think if Joe Burrow doesn't play, they're not scoring a touchdown. So I'll say 31-6. They get 2 field goals.
I would be happy with any one of our predictions.
And honestly, 31-6 doesn't make any, like I could see them scoring over 40 points if Joe Burrow doesn't play. because I think they would feast. Like, honestly, Alexis, I think they will feast on Jake Browning if Joe Burrow doesn't play. Like, it would be, and if Joe Burrow doesn't play and they get Jake Browning, this team will carry that momentum down the road. Does not matter about the Colts game. Like, they'll run over the Colts. Like, I think they would carry that into Philly and like the Philly game, and that could be really interesting because you win a game like that prime time. Like, doesn't matter who plays or not. It's all about like the production and getting the W. And I just think like winning games like that this early in the season, you can build upon it.
We'd love to see it. We'll see. I don't think they're going to really announce Burrow's status until Monday, so it's probably not going to be something we know soon, but we'll see. I mean, they obviously really are hoping that he can play. I know that Bengals team very much is hoping that Joe will be good to go Monday, so we'll see. But Jake and I are both predicting a Rams win week 3 against the Bengals, prime time, all the pressure. Everybody's watching.
And I'm 2-0 on Rams picks, so you know.
I am too. Oh no, I'm not.
No,
I'm 1-1.
Get out of here with that. No,
I was forgetting about week 1.
No, you have a 0-2 right now.
No, I predicted that we lost the 49ers.
No, I know but you would have them 0-2 right now. Like if they lost those 2 games, because you had them losing to Seattle and San Francisco.
Oh yeah.
So now you have them beating the Bengals, so you'd have them at 1-2. And before the season started, I'm gonna be honest with you, like I thought that they would be 1-2 coming out of this game. But now, and this is why we can't just assume things, because it's the most unpredictable league ever.
Yeah, I didn't think the Bengals would be this terrible.
No.
I mean, also
I still think they get it together. I just think he's hurt. Like, you know what I mean? He's hurt.
He is that, obviously the lifeblood of that offense. Not that they don't have other talented players, like we talked about earlier, but yeah, I don't think the Bengals are going to have a very good time Monday. I think they're in a really bad spot with Burrow's injury. And I think that Rams fans are going to be happy come Tuesday. Victory Tuesday is what I'm hoping we'll be celebrating.
Well, because we have to obviously let everyone know if Jake Browning, God forbid, he goes down and he's the starter, Reed Sinnett would be the backup. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because Bill Belichick, and the most Bill Belichickian thing ever, I don't know if you saw this, you probably did, picked Will Grier up off of their practice squad during this week. So this guy was learning like all the plays and everything off the practice squad. So I believe Reed Sinnett was on the team in preseason, so I guess we'll know some of it. But obviously, like if it gets down to Reed Sinnett, this thing's going to be ugly.
Not for us. Hopefully, or else we'll be having an entirely different conversation if Reed Sinnett and that Bengals team beat us. But I don't think that's going to happen. But guys, we will be back after the Rams matchup against the Bengals. Until then, as always, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. You can follow me on Twitter at the Alexis Kraft. You can follow Jake at JK Bogan. And until next time, guys, stay safe, take care, and go Rams.